Okay, we'll call this meeting of the Board of Appeals to order. First off, does anyone need to abstain from voting tonight or anticipate voting?
No,
No.
Who was out to see the properties before us?
I was not.
No.
Nobody was. Okay, and did you speak with anyone regarding the variance requests we have before us tonight?
No.
No.
All right. Anybody have any comments on changes to the agenda? If not, we can move right to the minutes from the last meeting.
The motion to approve the October minutes?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was on October 17th. All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. All right, we'll get right in here. We have Mr. Stock. Is he here?
Yes.
Could you come forward?
Yeah.
Have a chair and,
Not sure if you have. I'm sure you have the application.
yes,
And then do you have the lot plan?
I believe so.
And then the plot.
I think we got some of that. Anyway, go ahead. You've got a request for a variance.
Correct, it's due to hardship of a corner lot. Want to put a 14 by 14 deck in the back that'll be no higher than 14 inches off grade. The yard is fenced in with a 6-foot wood fence, so nobody can see it, for one, but due to the corner lot situation, there's only 30 feet from the back of the house to the lot line. And so, obviously, with the corner lot, you need 25 feet. So it'll be about 15 feet. So that's why we're requesting the variance to be able to have that extra 10 feet cut off.
So a 5-foot deck wouldn't cut it, right?
No, there's a patio door out there. And it wouldn't work too well.
Okay. Questions? Tommy? Jim? Great.
Is the neighbor on this picture to the right where the 2 is? Have you talked to them?
Yeah, the one neighbor has a deck. They're a corner lot too, which I know their deck is not 25 feet from the lot line, but I'm sure that it's a newer home, so they had a variance. Maybe they had a variance pulled, I'm not sure. But they're okay with it. And then the house on the other side of the corner, that's where the whole house is fenced. But the only side of the new deck, the house that's open to it with their deck, that's a chain link fence. But then the house that's right in the backyard of this house that I have, there's a 6-foot privacy wood fence. So there's no way that they could see the deck anyway. And even with the height of the deck, like I said, the elevation is more than 14 inches high, so.
Further questions?
No.
Comments? Okay, sir, if you could have a seat, we'll talk it over amongst ourselves. Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak for or against this item? All right, gentlemen, what are your thoughts?
See a lot of with the corner lots and the dimensions of the lot. Certainly present a hardship. Then with a variance, we wouldn't be able to build a deck.
Yes.
So,
Only be able to build a 5-foot deck.
yeah.
Which isn't a deck.
Not a feasible deck for
Right.
use. So if you could show there's a hardship, then I'd be in favor of the variance, and I'd be okay with it.
All right.
Move to approve. Motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Everman has moved to approve the variance request before us regarding the house on Platten Street. Mr. Babcock has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're good.
Good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next up would be the Wineos. Did I pronounce that?
Wainio.
Wienio?
Wainio. Pretty close.
It's finished.
Sorry. Yes, it is Finnish. I recognize that part. I just can't pronounce Finnish. Very good. Okay, you have a variance request for us tonight. Why don't you make your case?
We already built the deck. Unfortunately, we are getting a city redevelopment loan. We are approved for it already. It's already just finished. We were confused and we thought the porch was on that permit. But we had a Habitat for Humanity home built from us 2 stories down. And the inspector saw it and came and approached us, and then we called Kevin King, and he kind of went over everything with us. And he was confused himself and told us, okay, come in, apply for a variance.
Get the permit,
Yeah.
for a variance.
So we did that. That is not even what the house looks like any longer. He has pictures. But the reason why we did the deck on the front is we have a 9-year-old that is now handicapped, part-time in a wheelchair. 5x5 is not feasible to get the wheelchair out and down. Even in our garage, being a wood-cell garage, we can't put a ramp in there to get him out. And he walks on AFO braces, so the couple steps is not bad for him. If there are a lot more steps, he would obviously have issues.
If it gets more prevalent, because he has juvenile arthritis, so his wheelchair is just in case he needs to go to school. If it gets more prevalent, I'm gonna ramp it, but,
Yeah, so the ramp was, the ramp isn't being proposed here.
Correct.
What you're proposing is a deck that's basically low enough and big enough for him to deal with
Getting in and out.
even in your foreseeable
Correct.
future.
Correct. He was doing good till about a year and a half ago. Now he's diminishing his
And
lower extremities.
And I would think that your point is that the normal type of, or size of front porch would be just not the right size.
Correct.
to open the door and everything.
For opening a door and
Right.
having a potential crutches or wheelchair or something.
Correct.
He
We
has
have letters
pictures.
from both our neighbors too,
Yeah.
on each side of the house.
Can you see that in the pictures?
Sure.
Yeah. And the whole house changed. It's completely different.
So it's about 7.5 by 8.5.
Yeah. So the inspector didn't like it. That's basically where we are.
Because the
There
zoning
weren't-
size.
There weren't neighbor complaints, or maybe there
No.
were?
So
Not
at
that I'm
first,
aware of
when they
it.
stopped, when they had stopped over, I didn't have the hand railing on because I was letting them do their work as far as the siding and everything before I put the hand railing on.
Okay.
And I thought that's what he was talking about. And then I came up with the square footage of 5 by 5, and I was not aware of that, I was naive to that fact, so.
Any other questions? Greg, Tommy, Jim?
I don't think so.
And Mr. Story, would you care to talk?
Thank you, Chair. I'm in full support of this. I met with the Wineos earlier today
Okay.
and took a look at it. And like I said, a lot of this is complaint-driven. It seemed a little out of character for the people at the Habitat to complain about this. They have a son that obviously needs the help. It's well-built, beautifully done. It's a little bit bigger than code, but I really feel that it's a good item and it works with the house and it'll work with your son. So I'm in support.
Okay, good, thank you, sir. Anybody else that cares to speak for or against this issue? All right, folks, if you could have a seat, we'll talk it over amongst ourselves. Thank you. Thoughts? Seems pretty straightforward.
To me, it really does, with the definite hardship your
It's
son.
a hardship, and there's a perfectly good reason for why they have done what they have done.
Right.
Motion approved?
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Everman, seconded by Mr. Hutchison to approve the variance requested for the Renios on Locust Street. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. 4-0, you're good.
Thank you.
You
so
want your
much.
letters? Your letters, do you want those? Your letters. You're welcome.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Bailey.
I built a fence 3 years ago, and when I built the fence, I asked if I should call for an inspection. They said, no, we just do drive-bys. I was not aware that I couldn't go past the center of the house on my fence. I did mark it when I put it in that I was gonna go that far, but then I realized I was gonna park my boat there in the wintertime, so I extended the fence out 10 feet. I did think I can't go past the corner of my house with the privacy fence. I'd have to go down, but I wasn't aware that I couldn't go out farther. I did get a signature from all the neighbors. I turned it in when I got the permit, and nobody complained about it. They said it was, very well built. Nobody had a problem with me doing the extra 10 feet. So, and I'm on a corner lot. I wasn't aware that I couldn't go past on the corner lot.
So did you take down an existing fence and build this one?
No, there was never a fence
Oh,
there.
okay.
I moved into the fence and I wanted privacy for my grandkids, keep them in the yard. So I did fence in that whole, that side is where I put the fence on, just that one. There was an existing fence that I butted up against too in the back. And on the other side, there's a chain link fence.
So the issue is that he went too far, Paul?
Yes.
Okay.
But like I said, 3 years ago, they said they would do a drive-by. I've done other building permits before, and I have called for roof ends, and they've came and inspected. I've called for electrical, so it wasn't like I was trying to avoid anything. I did ask when I was in, do I call when I get it? And they said, no, we just do a drive-by for fences.
So it's your contention that you did everything you needed to do, at least as far as providing fair warning?
Right.
And you got a permit?
Yes.
So everything, you don't have to really comment on it if you don't want to, Paul, but I just want to make sure it's just there's not a permit issue, there's not a height issue, it's just the fact that he carried it to him.
Right, the permit had showed it going pretty much just halfway. This shows it being compliant. I don't think this is a copy of the permit, but on the permit itself, it showed it going half the distance of the house.
And I realized I couldn't get my boat in there. I didn't think there would be an issue coming the extra. And I do kind of hide it there in the wintertime, and like I said, nobody's complained about it in 3 years.
So where do you put your boat, and what would be the difficulty if you,
That other picture.
oh, I see,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. What neighbors have you asked?
I asked everybody on J Court Street, and then on the other side on Challenger, 3 or 4 houses down on both sides.
Okay. So you.
I had 11 signatures.
In particular, you've asked 3002 and 3012.
Yes. 3018. And then that one in the back there, the back. Right directly behind me.
Okay.
Paul, what's the purpose of the policy behind that ordinance, particular ordinance, if you know?
It's to allow for some privacy, obviously, in the backyard, but not to cover up the entire side of the house. So it's kind
Okay.
of decided to go half the distance of the
Okay.
house.
But it's not for obstruction of view type?
No, it's more to maintain the facade of the
Okay,
side. Because it's a
gotcha.
corner lot here, we don't want to see just fence, we want to see the part of the house as well.
Yeah, okay.
Does that pertain just to corner lots?
Yes.
Oh,
So if you weren't on a corner, Paul?
You'd only apply to the front setback then. So in this case here, half the distance, you could have a 3-foot fence up to that 6-foot fence, halfway. Or 4-foot, 50%, or 5-foot,
What is the
80%.
setback from the front yard? Is that 25 feet also?
No, it's 7.5 feet.
From the front yard? From the Challenger?
On Challenger, it would be whatever the average is of those homes in that block, would be the front setback. On the corner side, it's different for fences because there's an ability to go closer towards the street with the fence, to enlarge in the yard, so to speak. So that would be 7.5 feet off the right of way line, would be the minimum. I think what simply happened here is we're trying to close out projects from years ago. Inspector drove by, noticed it wasn't complying with the permit, it wasn't built to what was approved.
So the position, at least of the city, is that, if I can understand you right, is that you didn't do the drive-by, or maybe you didn't do it as much as you should have, and that the permit and description that you got at the time didn't show it going that far forward?
Correct.
Okay. So what would be the difficulty if you chopped off that?
The 10 feet, I wouldn't be able to store my boat there. It'd cost me like $200 a year or more to store the boat someplace else in a storage yard. In my previous house, I had it so I could store it there. On Lincoln Street, I had a concrete pad that I could store my boat on. But there's no place on the other side of the house where I could store it because of the narrowness of it. I got 4 feet, but I still wouldn't be able to get a boat in there to store it on the other side of the house. I couldn't pour a pad there and I couldn't put gravel down.
Is there a pad poured up to the front fence? No?
No.
It's just dirt there?
Yeah.
And what the
That
board,
plan
that's
I
not
do.
permitted, that's not. It has to be on a solid surface, any sort of.
I did plan on putting gravel.
Oh,
in
is that
this year.
an issue too then, Paul?
Well, it's not an issue in this case, no. I mean, that's not the enforcement issue. The enforcement issue is the fence, that's what's before you. I'm just letting you know, any storage of any vehicle, recreational or whatever the case might be, has to be on a solid surface.
Okay.
So at the time you applied for the permit, I mean, did you know that you were gonna have the boat, I mean,
No.
tell me how that all
It
went.
wasn't an issue at the time because I didn't think, the plan on storing it at my son's house and it never worked out. That I couldn't store it there because he's got more or less the same issues. It would have been on the grass, and he didn't want to take up, put a solid surface where I could park the boat. And I figured, I could just come out the extra 10 feet, I could stick it in there. And I didn't think there was a problem with the setback on that, as long as I didn't go past the front of the house. And I was worried about the 25 feet. And I'm actually in further than 25 feet because all the power is on the property line, so I had to go in 18 inches.
Could you go back to that overhead?
Sure.
It looks to me like you've got your boat stored in the, that you could move that fence back, and the way, if that's your blue boat there, you move that front fence back to be compliant, you'd still be able to put your boat there, because it's not taking.
But I have a trailer too that I put in there in front of the boat.
Ah, okay.
You're saying boats here, the fence would have been moved right here.
Yeah.
But I got a small 4x8 trailer that I put in there with, in front of the boat, because I use that periodically in the wintertime.
Okay.
Like I said, the neighbors or nobody ever complained about it.
Questions, Tommy, Rick, Joe? Okay, sir, if you could have a seat. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the issue we have?
Hi,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Alder Corpus Sachs.
Yes.
So I'm here in support of Mr. Bailey. I don't foresee an issue with it. He's spoken with his neighbors, and his neighbors have been in support of this, so been this way for 3 years. It'd be one thing if that inspection happened shortly after it was complete, and then he could have made that adjustment, and now it's been this way for 3 years, and none of the neighbors have any issues with it, so.
Okay, thank you. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
I'm gonna vote no on it. I feel like there's a responsible process that was committed to, you know, as far as the permit that was put in and approved based on the current ordinances. When fence was built, there could have been a moment to check to see if it was okay to go that extra distance. The 3 years, I can totally appreciate that point of view, but I don't think it, for me, I think the onus is on the individual asking to do something at their property. You know, could have called and said, hey, can you check this, can you do whatever? So I think that the responsibility on the property owner created the mistake. And I've been pretty consistent on storage, not for me being a hardship. That's my stance on that. So if that's the hardship being presented to me, the boat can still be solved, which was going to be one of the questions I asked, but now there's a trailer as well. There's other potential, maybe storage solutions in terms of building out stuff on the property that can look at that. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I'm kind of leaning the way Tommy, you know, I just don't like how that all went down. You know, we applied for a permit and it wasn't what you thought, and I didn't really follow the explanation altogether. Looks like there's a way to still store a property, even though, you know, you go up to the center line of the house. Just not seeing a real hardship, and that's what we're here for, is to find hardship. I can't even find one. Other than he created it,
Yeah.
really, so.
Right, and if he had shown the city the plan to go all the way as far as he did, then I would have a different story on this. But
Yeah.
I agree. I guess I'll let you speak to Joe.
The fact that I understand he got additional permits later and wasn't shying away from getting permits. So he was trying to do the right thing. I totally understand what's been stated here at the table. I'm kind of on the fence in the fact that it's existed for 3 years. It's the homeowner's in a groove of what he can do and thought he was able to do it, and then a drive-by saw it. So it wasn't a neighbor or a conflict. It was a drive-by, someone sticking with the rules. So I'm kind of conflicted. I'm kind of right now on the balance of it. I'll make up my mind in a few seconds.
And I don't want it to be lost that I thought it's great for the neighbors, like the due diligence there, you know, I agree with that stuff that you're saying as well, which is why I'm kind of, again, I go back to storage is not a hardship for me, even in context of this violation, however it showed up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and my thoughts on this too are that I can understand storage as a potential hardship for very constrained, very small lots, but this is not that area. I don't see the hardship either.
I'll make a motion to see where we're at. I'll make a motion to deny the variance.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Babcock, seconded by Mr. Everman to deny the variance from Mr. Bailey on Challenger Drive. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 No.
Voting yes.
It's denied 3-1.
Yeah, but-
Yes to.
You vote yes to deny.
Vote
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Bailey, your request for variance has been denied.
Okay, when do I have to have it removed by?
You work with the inspector, he can help you out and give you a time frame on when that can be done.
Because it's just about, it's cemented in, it's froze, the ground's frozen out.
I work with the inspector and he can help you out from that process.
Is there any other steps I can do to keep it, or?
Yes. The next step would be the district court. Next up is Mr. Bradale. Okay, well, it's the garage situation.
Yes. The homeowner has been ordered to perform certain repairs to the existing garage. They kind of exceed, to me, the value or purpose of repairing it. The garage is poorly framed, it's got a bad roof, rotted out everywhere. So rather than sticking money into trying to repair this dilapidated garage, they want to build a new garage on the same footprint. So it's essentially tearing it down, ripping out the concrete, putting in new concrete, and building a brand new garage. Where the problem comes in is the green space issue. Because of the homeowner's patio, and of course, the narrow lot, the small lots, the driveway, the garage has to go behind the house. So the driveway and the sidewalks are pretty much taking up a lot of that 50%. And then we have the patio, and in order to meet the 50% rule, the patio is going to be down to about 10 by 10 or a little bit less. And another issue with the homeowner is that she's in one of those flat areas of the community where without a place to put her patio furniture, she's, sitting in wet grass and nowhere to run the water off to, legally. So basically she just wants to put a new garage up in the same spot as the existing garage. The existing garage does have the proper side yard and backyard setbacks. She preferred to move it back, further, but I thought that was going to be kind of precedent to add another, 200 square feet of concrete to move it back further. The property is surrounded by a fence, so the neighbors really aren't going to see. They don't see that patio or anything like that she has set up there. The front yard is nicely landscaped. It's a lot of green space and throughout the front yard. So when you drive past the front of the house, it does look appealing to the neighborhood. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to either of the neighbors since both of the neighboring houses are rental properties. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. It's difficult even without the patio to meet the 50% rule. It can be done, but it would basically eliminate her entire patio or any type of sidewalk from the house to the garage.
On the calculator here, or do you know what's the size of the patio right now from a square footage perspective?
I had it in my layout.
Is that the 648?
It's 33, yeah, the 33 by the 25. And she's got one of those like 14 by 14 covered canopy things over her patio furniture. She has a large family over for cookouts and stuff like that. That's why they have the larger patio.
Are you aware of when that patio was installed?
Looks pretty old. She said one time, many years ago, they had an above-ground swimming pool sitting on it. But no, I'm not. I'd be guessing if I told you. So.
Paul, do you have a sense of whether or not that patio went in before there would have been ordinances to restrict the amount of impervious surface?
I'm not sure.
There's, if you look at the two different tones on the concrete too, there's two separate pours there, so that one was done many, many years ago, and then one, when they put the swimming pool up for their kids, that's when the second part of it, the lighter colored part towards the garage more is done.
I guess what bothers me is that it is quite a bit off. And you representing, I realize you're the contractor for the garage.
Yes.
So you're representing the interest of the garage, but,
Well, I'm also representing the interests of the homeowner, you know, I'm trying to, you know, I mean, to me, she has valid points about the, you know, those flat yards over there not draining off the water properly, and, you know, obviously you're not allowed to drain it into the neighbors.
yeah, well, she's kind of creating part of the problem, then, isn't she? She's got an impervious surface. That's the reason why we have that ordinance. I mean, there's a lot of concrete there. It's not just the back patio. There's a substantial amount, it looks to me, along the side of the house. And I wasn't able to deduce from the drawing exactly where the concrete ended and the grass began.
And kind of my philosophy behind that is, you know, unless you tear that down to a 10 by 10 slab of concrete, you're still not gonna meet the 50% requirement. You know, and then, so if you're not gonna meet the 50% requirement at 70-30, you know, versus 47-53, you know, to give her a valid size patio, or functional size patio. So,
If you cut it in half, if it's 825, right? Or 848, I think is what it was. Like if you do the measurements, what you had, and multiply it, you cut it in half, it equals 53%. So you're still, like your point, just so the math is there, I was doing it, it's 53%, which is still 3% over, correct? All, it's supposed to be under, it's supposed to be 50-50.
50/50.
So it's 3% versus 10%. So, again, I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting at what some of my concern is that there wasn't even any attempt. You know, I recognize that you're the contractor for the garage, but if the homeowner had said, you know, I recognize that I can't really get to 50, but if I do this and this instead, I at least made an effort to try to get more green space, and that bothers me. And I'm not sure where I guess I'm looking for a sense from the rest of the people on this side of the table as to where we go from here. We can ask for more, we can ask to have the applicant come back to us and explain what she can and can't do regarding getting to the 50%. But I have the feeling that because she's over, we've just been presented with something that, you know, I either have it or I don't. And we're well capable of saying no. And in that case, something is gonna happen. And I guess I'm
Right.
trying to work with.
right, you know, I guess again, like I said, my philosophy was, you know, and she doesn't want to really want to give up any of it, obviously, because of her family gatherings, but, you know, again, if you came back and said, okay, well, she'll get rid of 100 square feet, you know, what's the point that makes it okay? You know, so if I'm at 40-60 right now, you know, could you come back and say, all right, it's 47-53, okay? You know,
Yeah, we can do exactly that, and that's,
Right,
that's
you know.
where we're kind of hedging around.
To make sure I'm looking at this correctly, this is the house, this is the driveway here, and they drive into the garage here.
correct.
So this is coming out. This is the back of the house here. There's like a
That's the
stoop
side
or
yard.
something, a step that comes out.
Yeah, there is like some little sun porch, enclosed sun porch off the side there, yes.
And this is concrete here.
That's concrete there,
And
yes.
you're saying this is the newer part, this section here, because this was already there?
Right.
And this is the total 850, like you're on your paper, this total thing.
Mhm.
So if you took out that part, which is half in theory, I know we're guessing right now, but like in theory, that's only 3% over. You had said they put this in because they had a pool, is that correct?
They had, what time they had a pool, yes.
How long ago was that?
I have no idea.
No plans to have that
Their
pool?
kids are adults now,
Okay.
so.
Cool. Thank you.
I guess to the extent that we get into haggling over percentages, you know, it's not our job to be writing ordinances or we're up here to say whether or not what's being proposed can be justified. To the extent that we get into numbers, we'll have to justify our decision based on the fact that this is an existing piece of construction and that we are trying to come to some resolution with our own situation with the city's ordinance. To the extent that we get into coming up with percentage numbers that we would find acceptable, I think we would have to couch it with those exceptions so that we're not creating our own ordinance. Or we can ask the applicant to come back and present to us some discussion of what she would be prepared to do and why she thinks she could do this or not this, rather than basically the up, down, yes, no decision that's kind of before us now. I would actually kind of prefer that. Is there a time is of the essence issue here?
Nope, this is spring project, obviously, we're not doing flat work anymore, so, and like I said, we're not creating anything new. We're just building a different garage on the same footprint too. So we're not changing the look of the neighborhood. We're actually improving the look of the neighborhood by putting a garage on it.
Yes, right. Right.
So.
Yeah, that's why we hate to be picky about something like this, but on the other hand, if she's got a water problem, she's kind of creating it herself with all that concrete. So I don't want to make light of the very basis for the ordinance. And I guess it depends on what my friends up here at the side of the table think, but I would think that we would want to hear, since time is not of the essence, if we could hear from the applicant directly regarding the situation of what her patio is, what it can and can't be, what it must and must not be. Then we'll have a better reason for haggling about numbers instead of just
I think her big thing,
arguing amongst ourselves.
Her big thing is being able to, obviously you see the pavilion, whatever she has set up there, I think in the picture, and how do you cut the concrete back in order to accommodate that in a great way, and her grill and the whatever patio furniture outside of that they have. That's her big concern.
Right.
So
what types of options would there be, Paul, in this type of situation? Pavers, or what are maybe you can refresh my limited memory on what works and what doesn't for the impervious surface constraint.
Probably removing the pavement is probably the simplest option, really. Impervious pavers are an option, but it's not really recognized by staff as a true alternative to green space.
Yeah, right.
And I think it's probably it's a little stretch for her to build the new garage in the first place, let alone to putting in paver patios.
Yeah, right. So if she came in with, what if she took it all out, put gravel in? It's just.
Gravel's not acceptable material. I suppose you can use landscape rock, so to speak, but not for parking or anything to that effect.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking of her patio. I mean, I'm just trying to get an idea of where the impervious surface limit is and what's considered a construction and what's not.
Unfortunately, I don't have access to aerial photos right now.
Yeah.
Our system isn't picking those up. I can also check our building records to see if there's anything on file for a building permit justifying that, or for the previous variance. I don't have any of that information as well.
Well, what's the sense of the rest of the board members?
My feeling is it's a lot of concrete, but I'm open to different ideas. If the homeowners got a proposal that makes some sense. But, at this point, I would say I'm not in favor of it, if we're forced to vote. So if the applicant wants to reconsider with a different proposal, I'm open to that.
I feel the same. Yeah, I agree. By doing the right thing and rebuilding an existing garage, it's raising this other problem. kind of like the last gentleman, where just because you do something, you still have to, they poured the concrete, you know what I mean, for that patio. Probably wasn't permitted or approved then, so now it's creating a problem. So to me, I'm a no as it's proposed currently. For the rebuilding of the garage, which is, they're just rebuilding what's already there, but at the same time, I think there's a solution here that can be presented based on the reasoning that was presented to me to get it to 50%.
Okay.
Ish, 50%-ish.
Well, I mean, in theory, you could remove that whole patio, all of that concrete, you know, the curvature of the garage, that's for people coming in, right? So there's that kind of third color right above the garage, and there's the two slabs there. Those two slabs coming out would get it significantly under 50%. And you've got the driveway, and you've got a small step, you know, to come out. You've got the concrete on the other side of the house, down here towards us, towards the lot line. So it's
Yeah.
that whole corner extra in the two sections like you proposed, which is the issue, right? And I think that's what he's trying to allude to is, from a picture right now, we can't tell, and there's not a hardship being created, you know what I mean? Which is a big kind of part of the reason why we approve variances. So I think that's why Don is
Well, I think-
suggesting maybe delaying it a month and
Yeah.
having a different conversation maybe, so
I
they
think
don't have to reapply.
some of the hardship, though, is the fact that she has to replace her rotted garage or face fines from the city, too. You know, and she just simply wants to build a new garage. You know?
Yeah, we're frequently in this situation where we're the bad guys and, you know, no good deed goes unpunished kind of thing.
Yeah.
We get placed in that situation a lot. Generally, well, we don't have a policy of the board, but we're individually receptive to ideas regarding the fact that something's been there for a while.
Mhm.
Or that it may have been there before there were ordinances that put this into a position that it is. However, in this case, it's a lot, and yes, we have a lever on this, and yes, we're gonna use it. So I think,
I'll go back to her and see what we can come up with.
she put you in a bad position. You were justifying and explaining the situation with the garage, very justifiably and very well. I think now we need to hear from her on the uses and needs and situations regarding all that concrete. And what,
Or a willingness to get rid of some.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So if you could carry that message back, we will,
We have to have a motion though, right?
yeah, we do, and we can make the motion after we figure it out, but I think we're headed into the holidays. We can give her 60 days since there's not a times of the essence.
Yeah, I'll set up for January.
Yeah. And she,
If they come back in next month, that's fine too. We're just-
yeah, you don't have to wait 2 months, but
Okay.
she's got to bring pictures and help us out to understand the situation with all that concrete.
Okay. Will do.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So, propose a motion to, what is it, delay? Is that the right?
Yeah, deferred consideration.
Defer consideration for 60 days. Is that enough? Do you want 90?
I think 60 days is enough.
60 days?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Sorry, it was confusing.
Okay, the motion's been made by Mr. Everman, seconded by Mr. Babcock to defer consideration of the property on 16th Avenue, Mr. Penier, for 60 days. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Sure,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Next up, Taylor Vandenbush. We have a driveway issue. Okay. Explain to me what you want to do and why you want to do it.
Well, we're looking to extend the driveway to the property at 520, to the easement line that was put into place I have no idea when that was put into place, but the driveway just simply is not wide enough to support our vehicles and the garage that is currently there. My truck that I have does not fit in the garage because the garage is too short. So the truck must stay out in the driveway, park it on the street. And to get around it, as you can see from the picture, it would require us to keep driving on the grass road around it.
And that turns into a muddy mess.
Great.
I'm the homeowner, actually.
What do the neighbors think?
I did talk to the guy that is also shown in the picture that it affects his property,
Mhm.
and he's okay with it. Because we had actually even talked about doing something similar.
Because you're going right up to his, almost essentially to his garage, the side of his garage.
Yes, and he actually, he's not the original property owner of that property, he recently moved in. But there was an easement put in place so they could extend their garage further into 516 property.
Oh,
That was before I purchased it, it was in place.
oh, is that why there's two blue lines there, Paul?
Yes, the garage is actually on my property.
Yeah.
So we just want enough room so he can, right now, his two wheels on the left side of the vehicle were parked on the grass, and we have somebody complaining about it. So we just want to widen it enough so he can fit that truck on the driveway,
I actually received a parking ticket.
in the driveway twice.
So,
How many feet are you proposing to go over?
the setback shows 2.5 feet. I haven't fully measured it yet, as I would like to see how this goes first before we start digging into that.
Yeah, but I'm saying from where the existing driveway is to the garage, you don't know how many feet that is?
Not off the top of my head.
To his garage?
Yeah.
Are you proposing to go right up to it?
As close as we can get. As you can see from the picture, it's really narrow.
Yeah, it is. Do you have any information on that easement? Or-
I don't.
That
They're
is why-
typically private.
But that's why there's two blue lines there?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, it could be just a parcel.
You go back one more.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where.
There.
I think that overlap is something with the parcel lines and not in the mapping, not so much an easement.
Okay.
Has been my experience. Not to say there's not an easement there, we don't know about that necessarily. That's a private issue if there is an easement.
So if you're parking your truck, you can't fit the truck on your, if you go up to your house? Is that what
Currently,
you're saying?
currently, because of what happened with the parking situation and the parking ticket, I did move the truck. It is alongside of the house at the moment. Mirror is folded in and the truck's about this close to the house. And we still have to go onto the grass area.
How far do you need?
We're looking to get about that 2.5 feet. Just so that way we
I
can.
think, being the property owner, I think just going another foot over within the driveway would be plenty. If we can get that.
You mean a portion of that red area?
Yes, yes.
I wanted some room to be safe, to go around the vehicle without damaging, the grass.
You want as much as you can get.
Pretty much.
Is the truck a work truck?
So the truck is my personal truck. I also have a car that I use for work. The cars which I use the most, and that's what parks in the garage.
What's the truck for?
The truck is my personal use.
So it's just a personal choice for the size of the truck?
Well, I mean, it wasn't, thought of having driveway issues.
No, it's important for the context to know if it's like a company truck or a truck you have to have for like work purposes and stuff like that. So-
Well, given that the car is for work purposes, that's.
Paul, do you know if the shed is approved through the appeals process? Because that's currently in violation, correct?
It's very close to the lot line. I don't have any more information on that.
On whether that was actually processed correctly?
Right. I didn't research
Okay.
that end of it, no.
Okay.
Do you need to go back all the way?
Well, I actually did draw up something else.
Talking to his garage.
Yeah,
for their garage.
yeah, I'm wondering
Quite a bit in
where they,
between the two
Where you draw the line.
So I also did come up with this. This is more of a backup plan, because due to, unforeseen things. I did think, if we just put enough here, that, there is that spot there that I can use. So then we wouldn't have to go all the way down to the sidewalk. Currently, there is a little patch down here that, because of where this driveway comes in, would need to remain.
It's a shared driveway too, right?
Yeah.
And that driveway on the right, Paul, is already extended, correct?
Yes.
So going towards the house has already been extended, correct?
Appears so, yes. I guess I'm unclear on the easement. I don't know if that was part of the application. You may want verification of that. I'm not sure why there would be an easement in this situation. There's not a shared driveway per se. The aprons are shared, which isn't uncommon, but, there's no other sharing on the private property that I can see. So I guess I would have that as a piece of evidence you may want to see.
Easement?
If there is an easement.
Because my fence is actually behind that garage with the lot line, so it's actually on my property a little bit, so.
Maybe I didn't catch this. What did the neighbor say about the one with the garage there?
He's okay with it.
I was worried about somebody hitting.
yeah, me too, that's exactly what I'm worried about.
Well, the spot that would be there is, the spot that would be used for, because it's easier for us to get around coming out of the garage towards the house. So we wouldn't be driving up along the garage.
So you'd park it by that second car in the back?
Yeah, it would be on the left-hand side of that side.
Okay.
Where it would be.
So right now he's parking towards the front here, by the front porch.
I know you want everything you can get, but if you got half of that, would that solve the problem? Half of what half of that box. Definitely box.
Half of the red box?
Yeah.
That's exactly kind of what he has shown there.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, you had that there.
Yeah,
Oh, I
that's-
see that.
I kind of came up with something as a backup.
Okay.
How do you deal with the snow?
So the snow, we currently will push it up towards the front, and we have the front lawn there, and then the stuff up towards the back. You can't actually see it from these pictures, but between the house and the garage, there's space for it to go into the backyard.
Yeah, I assume you have really good relations with that guy, because you're ending up putting your snow on his lot.
We both put it there. And I actually helped him, this last winter was his first winter there, and I helped him do his driveway there.
How close are we to the impervious surface problem?
I guess I'm not familiar with that. This would be my first time doing something like this,
I don't know that it was calculated necessarily.
It's pretty close. Is this something that has been done already?
No.
We're just looking to replace the driveway, hopefully make it a little wider.
Yeah, the driveway, we are planning on replacing that to, improve the driveway status. As from the road view picture, you can see it's pretty cracked up.
Okay. So what you're proposing here is part of a project to replace your driveway, and you want to make it wide enough if you're gonna go to the trouble of replacing it. But it's not something, okay, but you're not gonna do it this year.
It'll be a spring project.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to get some more dimensions on this. I realize you came here trying to negotiate with how much you could get, but I'm just me, but I can, try to get equals from my partners up here that I'd like to see some real numbers as far as measurements go.
Yeah, you
So-
didn't know that distance between the garage at your end and a driveway, that would be good to know.
My
You have a
guess,
total, you know.
my guess
area.
is with that 2.5 yard setback rule, that when the driveway was put in, that's what they followed.
Could be.
And
It
so I'm
could be.
thinking, and even by looking at it, you can tell it kind of has that about 2.5 feet going to it.
Well, that's what I'm trying to avoid, is that look to it. I'm not asking you to go find your lot line. All I'm asking, if everyone up here is reasonably in agreement, that we get some really hard and good measurements, particularly the distance. I'd like to know the distances, all the distances, but in particular, the distance between your existing driveway and that garage, your neighbor's garage.
So you want the space where the
Yeah,
bushes grow.
but then I'd like to know too, how wide is that green strip that we see there? I don't have to know where the lot line is, but I'd like to know how wide that is.
Okay.
That'll help us out. But right now, we don't really have any good information. We don't know how close your garage is to the other buildings either. So I guess for me, to make this decision, I need a lot more numbers. I think you need to bring us some more stuff.
Okay. So
Thoughts?
I agree, yeah. I mean, I'm open to some ideas. It would be nice to know that dimension.
Yeah.
Know what we're talking about.
And you know, what could really help your case is if the ground is still somewhat firm enough, if you can put a car and a truck right next to each other, so we can tell.
See
what would work.
what it looks like.
Then we, pictures are really good for us. We like to see stuff, so.
That's why I got all these pictures and.
Yeah, and the one you missed is the one with the truck in the garage.
Never
Truck
thought
and
about doing
a
that.
car sitting right next to each other. That's what I'd like to
Yeah.
see.
Okay.
That would make your case or not immediately.
Okay.
I don't usually get this proceeding, but since it's not a time is of the essence thing again, let's do this right, instead of having us guess. Once again, we're just haggling about how far I sense that the people up here on this side of the table don't want to give you quite as much as you want, but chances are we'll let you have something. Once again, we're like the last guy. We're arguing amongst ourselves and trying to negotiate against ourselves. So I'd like to see some numbers first, and then if we come up with something, it's going to seem a whole lot more justifiable.
Okay.
Does this seem reasonable, guys?
Seems reasonable.
Just so I'm clear, even if we come back, I'm probably a no,
Okay.
but you've got 3 people that are open, so again, I'm gonna vote no.
Well, he can
But
change his mind next month if you
Yeah.
want.
that's the chance we take. I'm just
Can I
letting,
just ask why?
again, I'm a really big believer in the ordinances and as they're written and why they're written. We're not here to change them. Our job is to kind of look at them and then make decisions based on a myriad of factors. It's hard to hear sometimes, but just like I was saying, storing a boat, personal decisions about personal choices, for me, don't present a hardship. Choosing to own a larger truck that makes it difficult. I mean, just a personal context, I was raised in a house that had 3 brothers, all the same, basically 15 months apart, and we had to do every morning, us 3 kids, we'd get up, depending on who was going to school first, and move a car out, move 2 cars out, move 1 in, and we dealt with that for, 6 to 21, 5 years of that every morning, because we couldn't widen our driveway as well. So it's difficult. I know it's frustrating, but to me, that's why the ordinances are there, and the driveway's already been widened more than it already has been. So I'm a big believer in what is the immovable rock right now, and to me, that's not an immovable rock right now. So that's where I'm at.
Well, that'll give you a sense of what, Tommy may change his mind, but he generally tends to vote exactly the way he's described it, so, that's why we have all the people we have.
Yeah, 5.
We ordinarily would have 5, and we have to find 3 agreement. I think the best thing for your case, the best thing for this issue is for us to not vote, and to send you back and give you 60 days to come back before us with some really good numbers and pictures and something that makes your case, because right now you're in a position of not having made your case.
Okay.
Too reasonable? Get those pictures before it needs to.
Yeah, I'll work on that probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
actually. That way it's done and then.
Yep.
So
We're all
we
over.
doing the same thing, 30 day, or, because we should ask him, right, what he wants.
60 okay? You need 90?
60 should be fine, because once the snow comes, there ain't gonna be too much I can do for getting measurements,
Right,
so.
exactly.
That's true.
Make a motion to adjourn 60 days out.
Make a motion to defer the decision on this item for 60 days.
Sure.
Yep.
That's Mr. Babcock's motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to defer consideration of the property on Northern Avenue. All in favor? Aye. So there we are. You have 60 days to come back and talk to us again.
All right, thanks.
Do you want me to be present again, or can we just be here on my behalf?
He can represent you.
Thank you.
Just let our staff know when you're ready to come back, we can get it scheduled. So if you have new pictures or new documentation, give it to us, we can get it.
So I just come back up to this floor
Yep.
again and all that
Yep.
information?
Typically, it's the first Tuesday of the month, so.
Yeah, that's a good important caveat here. You can't just come and show up with,
Yeah.
you gotta get on the agenda. So
Yeah, just
you
like I
gotta
did
work
with
through
this
these
one,
guys.
so.
Yes, exactly.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you.
Are we procedurally okay on all of those?
Yeah, I was just asking, did I'm in no, but I'm,
You're approving this motion.
I was abstain. I was,
That's fine.
it doesn't matter.
That's
Three
fine.
you're going through. you know.
That handles
no.
the
Okay.
procedure. Okay. Next up would be Mr. Randall Dial.
That's me.
All righty.
And Roxy.
Okay, we have the property on Robert Lane, and what do you want to do, another driveway?
Already did it.
It's already done.
I got a permit, and I guess I misunderstood. The permit, I guess I didn't realize it required me to extend my drive out to 30 feet. And it's only 23. I thought less would be better. I don't need a lot of room to back in there. I'm really good at backing up. And aesthetically, I think it looks a little nicer. Also, if I would have flared it out on that left side there, I'm already on the lot line pretty close or on it. That flare would have taken it out maybe too far, is what I thought. And the flare on the other side would have taken it all the way out to my mailbox, which you can't see in the picture. So I don't need 30 feet, is what I'm saying.
This is a first.
This is kind of weird.
Somebody's got to be first.
We have never had somebody sit before us asking to put in less driveway.
Well, I already
just
put
wish
in more
Mr.
driveway years ago.
I just wish Mr.
but-
Bunker could be here. The antithesis of his whole project. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Could you describe for us, Paul, the situation that we've got?
I'm not totally sure. I mean, a permit was issued, showing a standard drive of 25 at the property line, 30 at the curb, with a 2.5-foot setback on the side lot line. So again, it seems like maybe that driveway is encroaching on that 2.5-foot setback. I think the permit that was issued was rather straightforward, as a maximum type drive that was permissible, so I'm not sure if it wasn't, the permit wasn't followed, or if it was constructed incorrectly, or...
Well, I guess my judgment would be that if I would, I can see the applicant's point that it was an up to and not, no, shall be no less than.
And my contractor was little or no help. In fact, the thing's cracking all up all over the place. And this guy's been in business for decades.
I guess what I kind of see is that, I think this is 25, I don't know if that's a 3 or a 5.
That's 5, I believe.
And then there probably should be I guess a taper, but I'm not sure about what's going on in the lot line, if they're encroaching on that 2.5-foot setback that's required.
Well, I got a variance.
Original.
I don't think I have the original aerial view. You guys must have it, before and after. I do
We had
have
a
it.
variance about 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was over
More than
20 years.
It's even before my time.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
So you got a variance to
I do
go
have-
past the 2.5 feet, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, so
That
I
was a long
replaced
time.
everything in front of the house. I made it wider. Here, let me just show you the way it was. I had it, they wouldn't let me put in concrete on an angle here. When I got my, the inspector showed up when they were about ready to load the concrete in the ground. Anyway, this was squared off here, and it came down and flared out like that. So what I did new, or in addition to what I put in, is this section and the sidewalk. So this is all new here. The rest was already in there.
So it's your contention that you have a variance to allow the concrete to be where it is along the red line?
I do.
And it would have to come further over.
Right,
To
you
get
may-
30
you may
feet, it would
actually
have
need
to
to-
come way out here, past where the picture is.
What is the width now?
At the curb,
Yeah.
it's 23.
Oh, I got it, I see now.
And it's 25 up at the sidewalk.
So it's the contention of planning that it is not an up-to ordinance. It is a shall be 25 and 30.
No, it can fluctuate, I think, but there's no symmetry to the apron here, I guess.
Ah,
That's the other
okay.
part of it as well.
Okay, so there's almost an aesthetic concern.
Somewhat, I mean, based on the code, right? So, I mean, those numbers can flex, so to speak, but they tend to be symmetrical as you come down to the apron, to the curb.
Because of the flare. My flare is backwards.
Yes, it is.
Or it's not a flare, it's whatever
Rhombus.
whatever that's called.
Right. It's a non-conventional driveway.
And I've seen those before. I was on my way to Hagerty, and this isn't necessarily the same situation I have, but
Right.
it's the wrong way.
Is that in Green Bay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Green Bay and Onyx Well, I'm not gonna tell you where, because I don't know where.
Well,
I was going to a Packer game.
Similar.
And I went, hey, that looks familiar.
So the throw could be 20 feet, it could be any distance you want, I guess, just it's maximum of 25 on the inside of that
right,
sidewalk.
yeah, I understand your contention is that there should be a flare. That the curb cut should be greater than the throat at the property line.
Correct.
And there should be some symmetry to the way they line up.
Right, they're proportional in some sense.
Right.
Which we can't do without going into the neighbor's property.
Well, unless it was moved over, then.
Well,
Is there a minimum width? Is that where the 25 foot is? There's no minimum width?
No, not necessarily.
So theoretically, if he had started the flare just to the left of the tube and came out to where that curb ending is, that would be okay?
Right,
Yeah.
it's almost a personal choice. Sometimes people have a single stall garage, they don't need a full width.
Okay, gotcha. So it's really the angle of that flare.
Yes.
That's the issue.
I can't park out there legally. It's more or less just so I'm not driving all over the grass when I'm putting that trailer in there. And they don't store that in the winter there. That's,
how did we end up with you before us? Was there did the inspector say that it isn't the way it has to be when they were
For this?
originally doing this?
Yeah, we got a letter.
Right. He did match the permit that was issued.
Ah, okay.
and I might add, that was well after, a year after it, so that was in.
Okay.
I know that they were behind it. whatnot, but when I got the letter, it's like, you gotta fix this by November, and it's like, wait a minute, it's been well over a year, and this isn't the best time to pour concrete.
Did the original permit and the, I'm assuming there was like a plan with your general
Yeah.
contractor?
Yeah.
Did you just not follow it?
Well,
Is that what happened, or was that just
Again,
always
I-
the plan?
well, I was approved for having to go out to 30, but I guess it was my fault when I told them, make it go this way, so we're not getting in trouble on the lot line.
Okay.
I thought it was 30 or less. That's
Got it.
what I thought it was.
Okay. Because it would cost more money to
I
pour
would
that
have
concrete
thought the
inside?
same.
Probably.
I'm
Sorry. I was saying, that decision was because it would have cost more money to then
No,
cut the
no,
apron and
no,
stuff?
no, no.
What was the
I was
impetus?
worried about too close to that lot line and having a flare going out and, you know,
Then we'd be
going
in
over
the-
on my neighbor's side.
Yeah, he thought that if he's already up against the lot line with
Yep.
the straight part, that any flare would encroach.
Yep. That's what I'm trying to figure out what the
And-
plan was, because
Yeah.
the plan was permitted and
Yeah, the
approved.
plan I have,
And it was up to 30, then that's a mistake there, in
Right.
theory, correct?
Right, but.
yeah, the plan should have been different. is what
Correct,
you're
yeah.
saying.
Right?
But it's in city right of way as well, so in theory, it's not on the neighbor's property, but
Right.
the neighbor does maintain a portion of the terrace area, so, but when it flares out, it's in the right of way anyway, so that's the.
So that's
conclusion.
not an issue?
It shouldn't be an issue, but, you know, neighbors are maybe picky because they want to maintain their
Not that-
terrace area, yeah.
Not that,
Interesting.
If you would have gone to the red line, would there be an issue, or
Straight.
would it still be an issue? It doesn't, if it didn't flare at all, just straight.
It would still be an issue.
So the right side is an issue as well, correct, Paul?
Well, right, when it was installed, right, it's just, again, it's unconventional, it doesn't
Yeah.
meet the true sense of the standard of code.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, we don't know, we can't really tell if that's a straight out or if there is a little flare on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, are there any other questions? We'll talk amongst ourselves, thank you.
okay, and I'll be listening.
Yes, please.
I was tell-
Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against this issue?
I'm the older person in that area. Yeah, I'm lost with this one.
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
We've never seen one like this.
Right,
Less is better.
this is better.
I was telling Greg, I said it's interesting to me that I feel like we kind of allude to this sometimes, that like approval today shows up later, and to me, based on what I'm understanding, is that approval previously is what has ended up here in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Had that approval for that extra lot line situation, you know,
Yeah, I think it comes down to an aesthetic issue, and it just doesn't meet the intent of the code, so to speak. It just was not, appears to be not constructed compliant with the code.
right, but the extension of
Dimensionally, it's fine.
the driveway, right, the extension of the driveway is what caused,
It probably
Yes.
did, right.
and then he
The
just
previous
replaced it.
variance, yeah.
Right, so, I'm okay, just so, I mean, so everybody knows where I'm at. I'm okay with approving it as is,
Yeah, I'm good too.
but just an interesting
I think
tidbit.
the simpler thing would have been just to come in and ask for a variance on that flare.
Okay,
Correct,
But again, the plan that we had showed it being compliant.
correct.
okay, we have the votes, so we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the requested variance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Babcock, seconded by Mr. Everman to approve the variance requested for the property on Robert Lane. Did I get that correct, Robert Lane? I'm gonna say this correctly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
4-0.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks for staying.
Absolutely. Learn something.
Okay, We now have the long-suffering Mendezes. Would you care to come forward and make your case?
Okay.
Evening.
Okay,
Hi.
I was here once, so I didn't understand everything well, so I brought my brother-in-law to help me.
All right. So what do we want to do here? And have we done it already?
No, yes and no. They want to extend their driveway, and previously they had done that. I was just looking on Google Maps, and they had it there, and then they got a letter, so then they took it out. So then they went through the process to request it, and so you can see there, they had it there without, it seems without a permit. So that's where they want to put. They want to add additional driveway space there. They have a number of vehicles, and right now they park along the road there. So it is a hassle to move them. They can't fit everything in the garage, obviously, and even in the driveway. They have 5 adults, right? So 5 cars. And there's no overnight parking. So I did actually some research with her help and got pictures of about 8 other properties that have that extension in front of the doorway like that in the surrounding, like a block or two. We're talking Edison Street, Amy.
Abrams.
And I think it was Amy Street and Abrams as well, that all have that same thing. So we'd like to request that we be allowed to do that in the spring, or if we can find anybody. I don't think we can do it anymore now, but.
So this was here, we denied it before on the same issue, or is?
Exact same
Yeah.
issue, yes.
Okay.
Yes. But she didn't understand exactly kind of what the concern was and what the questions were. She's pretty good at English, but sometimes she doesn't understand the nuances of the language. And so when she explained it to me, I said, well, maybe I can help. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and somebody told me I can apply again, so it's 1 year.
It's been over a year, and looking at the case, there was compliance. So those, my understanding based on the inspector's comments, those pavers did come out. And the
Yes.
soil was,
Now it's just.
topsoil was put in with grass, so
Okay.
you're not looking at a photo from today. It's
Oh, I
it's an older
No,
photo.
no, yes,
So
no.
there's good faith compliance here, that case was closed out. So it's been over a year, she's come back to apply, it's as if it never happened. It's
Got it.
a fresh slate.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we've had quite a bit of clarification on this issue.
Okay.
Which will probably be reflected in our votes.
Okay.
But I can explain to you what I believe that the concern will be, and maybe it presumably was then as well, is that the city has explained to us that there is a great deal of fire and safety concerns about having anyone park in front of the front door.
Okay.
And that is the basis for the ordinance saying that you can't have driveway extended in such a way that it's in front of the main front door.
Okay.
What you're proposing here would do that.
And when was that ordinance put in place, do you know?
Well, quite a while, actually.
So all the 8 properties that I have pictures of in the nearby neighborhoods would have been prior to that ordinance?
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they didn't, maybe they never tried to get a variance.
Well, that's what that's what my question would be then.
I'm surprised that there's only 8. I'm sure there's many more than that. That's an inherent problem of the design of this type of two-family use.
Okay.
So, yeah, some have gotten variances, some have gotten work without, I don't know, they didn't get a permit.
That I can understand.
So there's any number of things that happen with those types of units.
So, have there been variances permitted? That's what my.
I think there have in the past.
There may have been.
Okay.
We have asked the city council to consider the issue that we have
Okay.
twice. And in particular, the second time, we did get comments from the fire department and the police, I believe, explaining their very large concerns about this. But basically, I view our board as being, having been warned that what we would be doing by granting a variance would fly in the face of recommendations from the fire department and the police.
Okay.
These guys may have a different opinion, that's why I'm voting no.
Okay.
And that's, would have been why I voted no a year ago.
Okay. How about there's I know you guys talk about hardship to the family, and I know there's hardship and then there's the safety issue. This does cause a hardship to the family and the residents living
It
there?
does, it does. We agree.
Okay.
We agree, and Mr. Newmeyer agrees, most likely.
Okay.
The situation is that we have a number of these types of buildings in the city, and it was quite common to have these types of side driveway extensions, either put in without a variance, or they'd come before us and they'd have various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We've been told, I think in very clear terms, that that's not a good thing to do. The spirit of the ordinance was that there not be parking in the front of the front door, and we've had it explained to us why that spirit of the ordinance was put in there. And it's a safety issue. It wasn't that they wanted to be a problem, it wasn't that they thought there was even an aesthetic concern about it. They did not want people to have to try to fight their way around cars if they needed to get into this building.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, these types of buildings, the other entrance is a long ways around
Yep.
and back.
Okay.
And that's what puts us in this situation, so. If you get denied tonight again, that's why.
Okay. And then, what would be the next recourse? Like city council, go in front of the general council, or talk to the fire department, or, I'm not trying to be difficult, but trying to make sure that we explore all options.
Yeah, because we really need.
Mm-hmm.
The board is independent of the city council, so their decision is final tonight. The recourse would be circuit court.
Okay.
They act as a court, basically taking testimony. Again, they're independent of the council, so there's no appeal to them directly.
Okay.
Unless they change the ordinance, but then that would take some time to do that.
In return for the city being allowed to have zoning ordinances,
Mm-hmm.
they are required by the state of Wisconsin to have this board.
Independent.
Yes. And so we're not a committee, we're independent, like Paul says.
Mm-hmm.
And our decision is basically like the first court's decision, so you'd have to take it up one notch, which is, as Paul says, is the real courts.
Okay.
Yeah, we've
Wow, with
We've
this
tried to get
already.
this resolved, and I think the council kind of said that we have resolved it. That's what it is. So.
We, by the recommendation of an older person for this, actually, we sent, and there were suggestions made, like, hey, can we make compromises on it so that you can't park in front of the door, so you create blockers and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
like
So
a
like there's
setback,
a walkway, so you're just parking on this front portion, stuff like that. And like you said, it was pretty firmly back. No.
Okay.
Because we did see a lot. So we were suggesting a compromise or a relook at it. And I think he articulated kind of what we got back.
I think last time too, there were discussion about alternatives, and the only one that really came up was going through the garage, putting another garage door on the back side. Of course, that's not really necessarily feasible, logistical necessarily, but it's an option to go through the garage and have some parking in the back.
Yeah, is what I was thinking about to ask you, if it's possible to do that?
Yeah, yeah, we put in a door in the other, in the back
Yeah,
of the
that's
garage.
what we were just, we don't have a choice, we can do that.
Yeah, you can. If, now, I don't know what your setback is.
50% thing and,
Oh, yeah, there's always
number
that.
of-
We'd have to see, there may be ordinances that,
That's, it's a small property to begin, and I'm thinking, you know, can they park it in the front, add another second driveway kind of thing? Well, then again, still, you know, you're running, yeah, we're running out of the 50, and I just learned that tonight. Thank you guys for that. But, so it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of options
well, you'd have
besides
to,
the.
you'd have to ask for a variance on something that you were gonna construct within the backyard variance. Backyard setback, so.
That's a different analysis.
That's a different, that may
That's
be a
not
different.
safety, that's just.
That may be
Yeah.
a different story.
Totally
Okay.
different analysis.
Okay.
Do you, so the 5 car, do you own the property?
Yes.
Yep.
And
Yeah, but I'm
you live in
renting-
both sections, or
No,
you rent one of the parts out?
I'm renting the 922, but I'm living on the 920. But I have 3 kids that they go to the college, so
Yeah,
I need to work,
No,
my
I-
husband need to work, so.
I know.
Yeah,
It is.
I used to park some cars on my friend's house,
Yeah.
but it's
Then you have
hard
to
going
shuttle.
home
Yeah.
to bring, to take cars at night and bring in the morning, you know.
Yep.
We've had little tiny houses in this city that had no garage, they had one place for a car.
Mhm.
And they wanted to, you know,
Yeah, but you know, but we never think about the future. I never think that my kids are going to have their own cars, so
Yeah.
it's enough space for 2 cars, my husband and mine, but not for my kids.
I know. Well, if it's feasible for
Put one
your
on the back.
situation to punch out and put in a spot in the back and run basically a series of car spots, you know, I think the board would be interested in hearing about it. We can't guarantee at this point what our decision would be, but that, you know, it seems like it's kind of far-fetched, but that's kind of where you're placed. Unless you can find some way to find a neighbor that'll rent you a spot, you know?
Yeah, but
That's kind of
it's-
where it is, but,
But everybody does the same, has the same thing.
I know, and you can probably walk less than a
Right across
block
the
and
street.
find people that have done exactly what you want to do, and you know,
Yeah, that's why
I sympathize with you.
3, 4 houses down, or duplexes down, I think, something like that.
Mhm.
That is, but just, I mean, that is why we sent it up to the council, was because we saw so many. We see a lot of them, okay, cool, what's going on here? Should we look at that and get recommendations, or look at the ordinance and say, can there make adjustments? And so that is what we do. It's good feedback loop for the city, for the ordinances, because things change. So we did, I mean, I remember one, and I was driving down the street to go look at this exact same thing. It wasn't in the same area, but I was driving by on my way to that property, and I stopped and took 6 or 7 photos of the same thing without even getting to the property. So it's not an uncommon thing that's happening.
Yeah, the worst thing is because this street has a lot of, a lot of traffic. It's hard. Even I put in the first application that someday we had an accident for a little kid. 'Cause all the cars are parking outside,
Yeah.
so the cars
So there's no
can see the
visibility.
little ones.
Exactly, that was my other
Yeah.
thought of getting the cars off the street. It's, again, safety from fire department perspective, or safety from pedestrian crossing, or children running around. You know, to get three cars off the street in front of her house would be ideal, would be a nice
Especially on
option.
winter time, it's hard. It's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh my God.
I sympathize with you completely. I think that we as a board have been put into a position though that we really can't. You know, if you felt strongly enough about this and wanted to, and were able to get an agenda item for the city council,
That's-
you could
yeah.
at least go forward with them and say, hey, this is my situation. Is it really, really true what you guys have got an ordinance for?
Oh, I believe it's
And if
true.
you guys really thought about the situation that all of us are in, I don't know if you get very far.
Because the safety, of the road safety happens on a daily basis. The fire safety is once and maybe never. Where that's what would be my argument to the city council and the fire department, that I understand your safety issue, but we have a safety issue on a daily basis where there is no visibility. So that would be something. I think you had something to say.
You could explore on-street parking. I don't put a lot of faith in that, but talking to our Department of Public Works, engineering, and in some cases, they would allow on-street parking or maybe even overnight parking based on some circumstance.
Okay.
So it could be from a traffic perspective, if you go before the traffic commission and, I don't want to say down the wrong path, but that is another, if we're brainstorming, that would be
Yes.
another idea.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Maybe like for this neighborhood, there should be allowed some on-street parking because of the nature of these designs that just don't lend themselves to expansion.
Yeah, and feel free to cite the unreasonableness of the Board of Appeals.
Oh, I'm not suggesting, you're just enforcing what's already there. And, again, safety is a very big concern and it is a very big priority, high priority, which I totally understand that.
I think that's a good option. Again, not that it's relevant, my dad went through that with our house that I grew up in, a condo over, I don't know what happened, but his front of his house turned into a parking lot. And because everybody in this apartment complex around the corner just would park their cars in front of all of his street in front of his house. Anyway, long story short, he went through that process, traffic commissions and city council and his back in California. And now there's a no parking, it's the antithesis of this, but there's a no parking thing on that street, which growing up, that was part of also how we got through all of our car situations and stuff like that. And we had accidents in front of the house, people would, it's not safe in a lot of different ways, but at the same time, it is an option to explore, to potentially make a case larger for the neighborhood, because there is, right across the street, there's a one, right next to you is another one with the same duplex building kind of thing, so.
It would help to work with your neighbors and the alderman or alderperson for the district and develop a strategy where you get 5, 6 property owners involved, maybe create a little district that would allow limited on-street parking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is short of the city condemning and tearing down all these one-story garage duplexes, I don't know what else they can do. The little house with no garage and little tiny driveway thing, the city did take that house out. That is a possibility. That's where they combine lots and turn them into Habitat for Humanity houses and things like that. But that's kind of extreme. If there was to be a policy that the city was going to buy up all of the single-story, single-stall duplexes, I think that'd be tough. Just so you know, the ordinance reads such that you can have one car out of the garage and one in. So they would allow for 2 cars per residence, right?
Right.
That's the justification.
And this is code compliant, there's no question about
Right,
that.
so that's as far as they thought back then.
Back then.
And that probably came from the time when a one-stall garage situation
Nobody
seemed
could afford
perfectly reasonable.
multiple cars.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
How frivolous to have 2 cars. That was a different time. And now we're in a different world, but we're stuck with the physical plant on the ground, so.
That's true.
So that's where we are. I believe we're gonna deny it.
Okay.
But you've heard in great detail why.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul's got some good suggestions on what maybe we may be able to explore. I wish it were otherwise. We usually try to work pretty good with people on issues like this, but in this one, I think our flexibility has been limited to 0.
Okay.
I'm in deal for correcting it and then coming back and making it a different story, but.
Yeah, we got definitely a few options.
Yeah.
So, thank you for your time.
I know it's tough.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion to deny the variance request.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Babcock to deny the Mendez variance request.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Hutchison. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. I can do that sometimes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.